I am the Eggman Ukukachu.
Oh, now Michael Jackson will want him. Oh.
Looks like the Elephant Man in the 25th century.
Ray Liotta? Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a spaceman.
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
They came all this way to go bowling?
Wow, really old teenagers from outer space.
Boy, I could sure go for a hamburger sandwich and some French fried potatoes. I'm a teenager after all.
Welcome to Death Valley days. The driver is either me or...
But they're all wearing V-necks. It must be student council from outer space.
You know, a fella could get used to this. Yeah.
Cool, they got Marshall lamps. Custom heads.
I travel light, just a makeup bag.
When TV repairmen walk to the earth.
Hey, it's Harry Connick Jr.
You know, you won't see costuming like this until Mark Singer does V.
Or Thomas Pynchon does V.
I will pet him and keep him and call him George.
This is MST3K, a special behind-the-scenes look at Mystery Science Theater 3000 is just about to start, so strap yourself in and enjoy the ride. See ya!
You're in Comedy Central.
It's the one show on television that I always look forward to. It's the one show on television I always hate to see end.
It's the kind of humor that hasn't really been on like before, or really done before.
I tape both Friday and Saturday episodes. Some of them I've seen a couple of times. You pick up more stuff if you watch a couple of them over again. I'm kind of fanatical about it. Some of my friends are a little worried about it.
Fantastic.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's funny.
It's one of the funniest shows on television. It's pound for pound, note for note. It's one of the funniest things out there.
It was hysterical. It was the first time I'd laughed out loud in years, and I just kept laughing out loud. I hadn't seen anything like it ever.
It's so much bizarre humor that if you've got that sort of mentality for it, then you'll get a lot out of it.
We never say who's gonna get this. We always say the right people will get this.
Welcome to the future of television. My name is Penn, Jillette, and it is both my honor and my privilege to serve as your master of ceremonies for this fascinating, in-depth look at a true cablecast phenomenon. I refer, of course, to Mystery Science Theater 3000. Perhaps the most stunningly original concept to find its way to television since the advent of the Vidicon tube. So infrequently does one come across innovative thinking of this caliber.
Hey,
especially on
speak English, you overdressed snake charmer.
After all, why would I...
Don't you love talking back to something cheesy on the screen? And wouldn't you love it even better if everything you said were really clever and funny instead of the incoherent grunts you can usually squeeze out? That's the whole idea behind Mystery Science Theater 3000, or MST3K as we insiders call it. The premise is that there's this janitor, Joel. He's been marooned on a satellite by a couple of mad scientists so they can study how he reacts to a relentless visual diet of dumb movies. Really dumb movies. I mean, like the worst movies ever made. Like, watch this.
The doctors are working night and day to find a cure. They feel that if they can stop your growth, they may be able to bring you back to normal.
You don't really believe that? They'll never find a cure for me.
Oof! Putrid, right? Ugh. But Joel's a handy guy, and he's built himself a bunch of funny robots. Gypsy pilots the ship. Tom Servo and Crow watch the movies with Joel, and just like any real-life movie audience these days, They talk back to the screen non-stop.
The doctors are working night and day to find a cure. They feel that if they can stop your growth, they may be able to bring you back to normal.
But define normal.
You don't really believe that?
I don't.
They'll never find a cure for me.
Well, I was just trying to make conversation. Gee.
Are you all right? Shall I go for Dr. Lindstrom?
No, no.
Right.
Cutoffs are just a little tight. The thighs are bulging out.
I'm all right. I just don't want to grow anymore.
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
I don't want to grow anymore.
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Looks like it.
Oh, that's the problem. He was sitting on a bush.
Ooh.
Glenn.
I don't believe he doesn't want to ride home.
Have you seen Glenn?
They have the greatest concept, first of all, which is where they take something that people do in their own living rooms, which is sit around and watch bad movies and then make wisecracks.
I think they used to do it in Warner Brothers cartoons too. They'd have a guy stand up and yell, you know, because the cartoons were made for theaters, and so a guy would stand up and yell something, supposedly one of the audience people.
At first I started watching because I thought it was just an old movie, you know, like the kinds I used to watch when I was a kid, you know, Saturday afternoons, whatever. And then I noticed the silhouettes at the bottom of the screen, and I started listening to them. It was hysterical.
Look out, it's wet there. I just mopped.
Bingo! Take one stranded janitor, add 3 precocious robots, and stir in some vile movies, and what do you got? A really funny show with a really rabid following. When we're talking MST3K fans, we're talking fanatics.
It was made for me. It's my personality, sense of humor. I get every joke. I love everything they say. I love the personalities they gave the robots.
It's one of a kind. Nothing else like it.
They do something that no one else does. I mean, it's brand new television. I'm just fascinated. They're just the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I love you.
It'll never work.
It's addictive. I don't know anybody who's a fan of the show who doesn't tape it, who doesn't watch this thing like their life depends on it.
When I watch television, which is rare, commercial television, I react the way the guys do toward the films. And they're talking my language.
It was after the apocalypse. No one was prepared for the robot holocaust.
Join us. Join us. Join us. And don't go away.
Whoa! The Monsters of Rock tour.
Want to get stoned?
Everybody must get stoned.
Movies at Comedy Central on Thanksgiving Day. At Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's 30 straight hours, and it's called Turkey Day.
Coming Wednesday, November 25th, only at Comedy Central.
Hey, how come he doesn't have to sing?
He's in the union.
What is film, if not modern-day mythology? And as in mythology, film has evolved recognizable types of stories. Call them genres, if you will.
What El Pomposo up there is trying to say is that there are bad flicks in every genre. And Mystery Science Theater 3000 has taken on all of them. Not just the easy categories, you know, science fiction, rubber monsters, bikers, beatniks, and beach babes, but also some of the more rarefied subcategories. Under nasty extraterrestrials alone, for instance, you got your space teens.
Wow, really old teenagers from outer space.
You've got your pod people.
You hungry now?
Oh, wait, let me get the attachments. You can do the couch.
You got your radar men from the moon.
My suit's more comfortable, and I'm willing to fight about it.
We've got Hercules battling aliens.
Gumby, no!
Right. We even got Santa Claus duking it out with the Martians.
Ooh.
All this trouble over a fat little man in a red suit.
Truman Capote?
Merry
Ah, Mr. Claus, you have a nasty habit of surviving.
Oh, yeah. You believe in Santa Claus, but you don't believe he'd fight Martians, huh? Anyways, if it's really bad, you can be sure that sooner or later, Joel and the bots will get to it.
Oh, yeah, just like Mitch Gaylord in American Anthem here, huh?
Yeah, kind of like Vision Quest, too.
This is rich.
Yeah, that's Kathy Rigby in that suit.
I think so. You know, guys, it just dawned on me how weird this film is, you know?
Yeah.
Really?
It's kind of goofy.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice dismount. Judges like it.
You will call no one. You will do as I say.
That's what you think, mister.
Pat Boone's the stand-in here.
This is bogus. I'm going to the deep end.
I said you will call no one.
Oh, too much glory.
Yes, folks, proof you can be too rich and too thin.
Lousy movies are like a great common denominator, bonding us all.
Hi, Space Honey, I'm home.
Frau Brucker. What did she do all day? This place is a mess.
Was that me?
Oh. Watanda, did you have a baby? Watanda, what is the matter with our son?
He's not your son, Fred.
Who are you?
We're from Mars. Don't be afraid. We have children just like you on
Only
Mars.
they're worse actors.
What are those funny things sticking out of your head?
Those are our antennae.
The horror, the horror.
Oh, they killed off the only likable character.
Films that tend to work better are films that have ridiculous premises or pretentious premises. Anything where anyone begins to preach their ideas through their film is wonderful material for the comedians to work on.
The people of Samar, in order to survive, were forced to offer their children as a sacrifice. The hungry mountain of death.
Hey, you got change for an 8-year-old?
Well, obviously it has to be bad, but it also has to be bad in the right way. There has to be some intention of quality from the filmmakers.
We have 10 films, and 1 will be suitable for our needs. And it's nice if they have a lot of action. Big, dumb rubber monsters, goofy-looking spaceships are always nice.
Movies that people find very painful to work with and that people dread the next time going through, often those tend to be the ones that our fans really think are some of our best work.
When Pat and Liz get here, will you tell them that we went to the drive-in and for them to catch up? Thank you. We sure will. Ding. And I'll give you $150.
To take acting lessons.
When we return, we'll have, well, more stuff. What'd you expect?
Hold my calls, will you?
I'll be taking lunch, Hilda.
Oh, it's some kind of foolish joke. I'm not going to keep a job where this sort of thing goes on.
The fact that within a 5-minute span you get a reference to Carlos Castaneda and the game of Twister. Now, to me, that is MST3K.
According to Irma Bombeck, all teenagers are from outer space.
That spaceship looks like a sun hat.
No, I think it's a photographer's umbrella.
It's a giant metal
No,
falsie.
it's a Devo hat.
Oh, no, it's a silo top.
It's Audrey Hepburn's hat from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Guys, it can be all those things and more.
By now, the astute viewer will have noticed the almost Joycean breadth of reference hidden beneath the veneer of ignorant sarcasm in the robot's repartee. Indeed, we're one to consider how many obscure cultural guideposts receive homage in a single episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 won't be around the same...
Somebody give that guy a high colonic. What he means is, the thing lots of people love about MST3K is the insane number of references these guys make in a single show.
Oh, they're getting close to Ridley Scott now. Uh-oh. This fog's starting to obscure the action.
What action?
Oh, well. Whose woods are these? I think I know. We'll watch these woods fill up with fog.
Do you imply that you are a conqueror who claims the spoils of victory? Or are you a common thief?
Oh, geez, this has more pauses than a Pinter play.
Oh, observational humor.
God, I love Seinfeld.
The elder is going to hand you over to the Kungs. In exchange, they promise to stop killing our people.
All right, who's talking?
I can't figure it out.
Must be the director.
Allied with Zord.
Hey, it's Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders.
I think it's the Kurds.
And Way?
Yes, Way.
They are terrifying, aren't they, with those bandanas, and they all look very Machiavellian with their shirts off.
It's like being put in a blender and sort of twirled around for 2 hours, and all these things fly by. Maybe like, you know, Dorothy flying in the house when the tornado picked it up, and what flies by is the kind of the residue of American popular culture.
The weather started getting rough. The tiny wheel was tossed.
Bruce Lee, press on nails.
Oh, it's karaoke night.
Ready to transport TR-14. Thanks for the buggy ride.
Hi-ho!
The Macy's Parade, 15 years from now.
In Hyannisport and Palm Beach.
It's a speed bump with a tongue!
Ooh. Whoa. Wow.
He's an excellent driver. Definitely an excellent driver.
Goodbye, Billy.
Headbutt.
Bye. Goodbye, Betty, dear.
Headbutt.
They've estimated that every episode of MST3K contains 700 jokes, sometimes from 700 different sources. Try to follow this.
Made this in shop class. It's a letter opener.
He's wearing hand-thrown pottery.
Those things are $4.50 a piece.
But they're all wearing V-necks. It must be student council from outer space.
It is not for myself that I ask, Mila, but for the welfare of all mankind. Go.
Take a sweater and be back by 10.
You've been gong!
They seem to know a little bit about everything.
I think we've done our job if one viewer somewhere gets the most obscure joke that we put into one show. But I don't know. I mean, for the kids who are sitting in front of the parents, these jokes are going, and they're hitting the parents right in the foreheads. And the obscure jokes are so much fun because there's a very small percentage of people who get those, but the ones who do say, my God, they're inside my head. They know me. They know too much about me.
But the cool thing is a lot of times you'll be thinking the same thing as they're saying. Because, I mean, you know, like, oh, it's William Shatner. You know, you'd be kind of thinking that it looks like William Shatner just as they were saying it.
Some of the lines I don't even understand, and I'll come up with lines that some of the other writers don't understand, and then we'll explain it. Oh, okay. And we usually trust each other, you know. I tend to put in a lot of maybe kind of obscure movie and literary references, and Mike Nelson, the head writer, will put in a lot of Shakespeare.
Well, really, Mother, I think you're making much ado about nothing.
Hey, I thought Shakespeare wrote that.
Not in the least.
And then one of the other writers will put in sports references, and I don't follow sports.
Hi, Kurt Gowdy here. Join Thong and Phil Harris and me out on the Idaho River fishing for trout.
I mean, everybody just contributes whatever comes into their mind.
Oh, no, they've jumped right into a Kurosawa film. Come on, Cro-Magnon.
Neanderthal.
Australopithecus africanus.
Why, you...
But shouldn't a man's destiny
Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
coincide with the desires of his heart?
Man's destiny is always predetermined.
Oh, he's a Calvinist.
By the true desires of his heart.
Kind of makes me wish I'd gone for that doctorate. Anyway, stick around. After a short intermission, we'll analyze this remarkable cultural phenomenon still further.
Anybody else care for one? I could use some coffee.
I think
Oh, thank you, madam.
Good idea.
screaming children.
Stay. You stay. Sit. Good dog. Stay. Good dog.
Thoreau wrote articulately about the creative invigoration possible through isolation. But he was by no means the first nor the only artist to understand its regenerative effect on the imagination.
Oh, please,
Why,
Professor.
In my own experience,
Your fly
if
is
I may
open.
digress a little bit.
Listen, how did the concept of MST3K find its way to Comedy Central? And who are those people anyway? Thought you'd never ask.
From Minneapolis, Joel Hodgson.
Joel Hudson, age 23, white, human, Minneapolis, Minnesota, starting now.
I had an act, and I went out to LA to seek my fortune, and got to do these shows, and it was really fun, but I didn't have any other ideas. I didn't want to be a nutty neighbor on a sitcom, and I missed home, and so I decided to come back.
I just pitched him the idea. I said, we have a broadcast facility and some good gear. Do you have any ideas? A week later, he came back with the idea for Mystery Science.
And Joel said, come on over. And I had no idea what it was. And I went over, and he said, pick one of those things up. And I picked up this puppet and sat under a table, and we were doing this show.
And then we just started doing them, and we ended up doing about 22 shows, KTMA. And about the 8th show, we were all kind of feeling like, is this really worthwhile? Not much had happened with it. It was a lot of hard work, and it was, you know, not exactly producing huge dividends. But about that time, we started a phone answering machine, and people could call in and give their response, and the tapes filled up within 2 hours after the shows aired. That sort of crystallized a lot of the momentum about the show, and about, say, 18 or 19 shows was about the time that HBO had decided to start the Comedy Channel, and we put together a 7-minute demonstration tape and sent it out to New York. Exactly 1 year after the show started, we were launched on that Comedy Channel.
I think being in the middle of nowhere kind of helps keep them focused on what they're doing.
So it's kind of got that home sort of feel to it, you know, like you can't see a big studio, you kind of see a garage, you know?
It really shows on the air, and the striking originality. It's just amazingly different from anything that would be turned out here.
In order to write 2 hours of gags, we end up watching the whole movie twice, stopping and starting. It ends up being 2 full days.
Dear Hair Club for Men.
That's good.
Dear Hair Club for Men, I need help, big time.
If you happen to ad-lib, it's like a traffic jam.
Don't forget to read them their Carmen Miranda rights.
Look, it's just not that funny.
Very few shows do, you know, take a stand on television themselves, and this one does so, you know, in such an outrageous fashion. That's, you know, why I'm attracted to it as a TV critic.
It's an outlaw show, kind of a maverick show.
I think that's the thing that's cool about it. We just kind of do it our own way, and it's not as a result of market studies, and it's not a result of, well, we think this will work. We're just doing it our own way, and people who like it are tuning in.
My friends and I get together every Saturday, have a raging pancake breakfast, and sit down and watch Mystery Science Theater on Comedy Central.
It's basically an acknowledgement that the audiences are not as dull as Hollywood might think they are.
You can get away with saying a lot of things with a puppet that you can't say with a human.
What about you, Crow?
I want to decide who lives and who dies.
Oh, I don't know.
I have a lot of faith in the group of people that are down here. It's an extraordinarily talented group of people that all have many diverse interests and a lot of things in common.
And that is Mystery Science Theater 3000, insofar as it can be summed up in a single half hour. Of course, like any great work of art, it must be considered not only on its own terms, but also against the context of the culture within which it exists. Hey, for instance, a guy, his robots, and some bad movies. It's that simple. And it's that great. Ow, 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 ow. I'm gonna spit.
I ain't been drinking.
Thank you, Senator. Your statement has been duly noted.